Hey y'all, welcome back to Green Thread. It's your host Alexis,
And Allie.
and today we're here to talk a little bit more about AI. So my fun fact for today is, did you know that training a single large AI model like an advanced language model can emit as much carbon dioxide as the lifetime emissions of 5 average gas-powered cars?
Oh my gosh.
So you take 5 cars, gas-powered. You take all the emissions that they make over that product's lifetime, and that's how much it is to train a single large AI model.
Not even for it to like function, but just to train
Just
it.
training.
Y'all stop using AI.
I know it just makes me cringe because AI is everywhere. And I'm like, oh, like that's
I
probably
know.
taking so much. But with that being said, we're gonna dive right into AI today. I know we've done a previous episode about AI a few months ago, and I mean even since then it has
Yeah.
changed so much and it's been integrated so much more. I think on Google, the AI overview, I'm not even sure if that was a thing when we did
I
that
don't know.
episode or maybe it had just started. I know we've mentioned it somewhere before in one of these slews of episodes that we've done. Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere.
It is.
Everywhere. I feel like I cannot escape it. It's in ads, it's, on any design platform, like using, even on Canva, like there's
Yeah.
AI, like background remover or like avatar creation and things like that. There are different websites for that, which is really insane. And I can't believe it.
I
It's
know.
everywhere.
I know. It started with
Um,
like algorithms and everything.
yeah.
Like stuff that we didn't even think was AI.
hmm
And that's where it basically birthed. I'm like,
Yes.
wow, it's growing fast.
It is. It surely is. And I believe in that first episode that we initially talked about AI, we talked a lot about its water usage
Yes.
and why that is a concern. But touching on some other factors that it impacts, energy consumption and its carbon emissions. If you missed my fun fact, go to our YouTube channel at the beginning of the video to hear my fun fact from UMass Amherst study. But its energy demands are really the main driver of its carbon footprint. It takes so much energy to not only train the models, but also to run them. Like whenever they're
Yeah.
in usage and people are using them to ask queries and to do all this stuff, it takes so much. Like I can
It
only
does.
imagine if it takes X amount to train it, how much that's going to be multiplied when like the general public are using it.
Right. Right. And I had actually a conversation with a friend like a couple days ago about this and talking about how I mean we just like were in a conversation and casually it was like, "Oh, use ChatGPT for this and this." And it ended up luckily that we reached a pretty like solid uh end point of, it's not that we're asking you to completely stop using AI because I know that that's like honestly a little impossible in this day and age.
Mm-hmm.
It's not using it as your therapist, not using it as a friend to talk to. I'm sorry if you're lonely. That sounded so
Talk
mean.
to us, please.
Yeah.
We will talk to. I don't care. I'll answer the phone. I might be bad at it sometimes, but just send us a message and we'll talk to you.
Yeah, I was about to say we have like a little I don't know if it's necessarily like a number, but it's a little like anonymous thing. If you ever want to talk, it's on our Instagram, our website, whatever. But it's just like, you don't need to be spending all this energy just to do things that are, you can find an easier route than that.
You definitely can. And I was going to mention a specific example. There are certain types of AI, and I don't understand a lot about technology, so bear with me. And this is just from my research, my little blips that I got for this episode. But large language models, or LLMs, like ChatGPT, they require so much power for training. Like they require immense power for training and inference. Those specific models. I don't know what makes them different from other models. It's called a large language model, so I can imagine it's got like a much broader scope than maybe, I don't know if there's a small language model or just a language model. But just thinking about ChatGPT is really the mainstream AI application that people use. It's an app on your phone. You can go on the computer and use it. I believe you can upload photos
Yes, you
to
can.
it and things like that nature. So it's wild how much you can do with it, but to do that much, you also have to use more energy to
Exactly.
make those things happen. The International Energy Agency estimates that global electricity demand from data centers could double between 2022 and 2026, which we're currently on the tail end of that.
Yeah.
And they project by 2030 that data centers could consume as much electricity as the entire country of Japan does today.
Holy moly.
So think about that. I mean, just globally, just AI, not any other kind of technology, not search engines, not Google, Yahoo, your Xbox, whatever, not anything else is going to use up that much electricity except for AI as an entire country. That is insane.
Right.
Like, I don't think people really understand how much energy that's taking. And I also found, which the source that I found this from was kind of funny, but a single chat GPT query is estimated to generate 4.32 grams of carbon dioxide. A Google search is only about zero point 0.2 grams per
Yep.
query. So that's about 4 times the amount that it takes to just perform a normal search in a search engine. The source that I got that from is called Smartly AI, which is funny. I was like, am I getting this from AI?
Yeah.
But it's a company that works on AI chatbots, like for customer service and such. And they've been doing this for about 10 years now. So they've been doing this long before it became what it is now. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's legit, but that's cool. And it just, even just thinking about how far AI has come in that way, but with Google even implementing the AI overview, I wanted to look more into this, but I just didn't. I wonder if doing the Google search and then it automatically gives the AI overview. Like I know you can turn that off somehow, or you just remove it from your query, but I mean that just are you using now the zero point 0.2 grams that it takes for the Google search and the 4.32 grams for the
Yeah.
query, like in the AI? So even though you didn't intentionally mean to use AI for it, I don't know. It's crazy.
I don't know much about like the data centers for Google versus like
Mm-hmm.
the ones that they need for ChatGPT. I'm very ignorant on that part, but at the same time, like it doesn't seem like it would equate to the same just
Mm-hmm.
because Google has its own, and I assume that that AI is just like a function
Mm-hmm.
of the server
Mm-hmm.
versus like what the server's purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
I do know, going off the statistics you had for the amount of grams of carbon dioxide, I know that there's also one which I can put up on the screen that is the equivalent of that with water, of like how much, like I think
Yes.
it's like per 100 messages
Mm-hmm.
in ChatGPT, it's like equivalent to how much water you'll need.
I was gonna say I actually have a statistic about
Perfect.
that because even though we already touched on water before, it may have changed. The statistics
Yeah.
may have changed since then. So, um, let's see. I have from the University of California asking between 10 to 50 queries on ChatGPT in one day uses about 2 liters of water.
There it goes. Yeah, I was about to say
So,
there's something about that that it's like it's super quick. You don't have to do much at all
uh
to
huh.
use all this energy. And what my point to bring up water again was that it's not just water you're using to ask it questions, it's the water it needs to cool down
Yes.
from answering said question. So there's
Yes.
water happening everywhere.
Yes. I mean, if y'all have never felt a computer get hot, even just a
Oof.
personal computer, y'all should see my laptop booting up The Sims 4. It's y'all. It sounds like a jet. It's gonna
Yeah.
take off. I mean, I can't play it like in my bed on my lap because it's like it's like a heating pad. It gets
Right.
real hot. So imagine just the cooling, the internal cooling of laptops and personal computers, and multiplying that to an entire data center that is being used constantly. I'm just imagining out of over 8 billion people in the world, how many people are asking ChatGPT a question right now?
Right.
And then continuing the conversation. Because, I mean, come on, we get curious about stuff. We go on rabbit
Yeah.
holes in YouTube and Google, and you ask one question, and then it gives you a response, and you ask another one, response, another one, response, another one.
Another one.
Yeah, another one. Like, it's crazy. Like 10 to 50 queries. That's a pretty large range, like,
Yeah.
10 versus 50. But I mean, come on, with what I just said, if you just keep it going, then that could easily add up to 10. So, I mean, think about how easy it'd be to get to 30 even.
Exactly. And what I was about to say, going off of that, was that like I've seen on TikTok specifically people talk, like they're in the comments of other creators, posts,
Mhm.
just casually saying, "Oh yeah, I talked to ChatGPT about this yesterday," or "Oh yeah, I turned ChatGPT into my therapist and we had a conversation about this yesterday." Like it's just no thought into it at all,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "Do you understand?" And I mean, of course, I feel like there have been more people to talk against it and to
Mhm.
be like, "Hey guys, let's not do this." And
Yeah.
so it's not just like we're talking to the void here, but I
Mhm.
do still believe, like you were saying, imagine how many people are using it at this very
Yeah.
moment. Like that's so many users. And we have another episode coming out about social media and activism, and we'll have more stats on like how many people actually use the internet and actually use social media every single day.
Mhm.
And imagine that many users using AI every single day,
Yeah.
because like I just can't. It just stresses me out.
I know, it's so hard to wrap your brain around, and just I mean, that's what's scary about it is it's become so easy to use. Like AI has been around for a while. Like I said, there's been models before and like for chatbots, like for customer
Right.
service reasons and Amazon and whatever, like a lot of people have already had access to AI except for the general public. And now anyone and their mother can just
Yeah.
search anything on ChatGPT or on any AI search engine, and it's just scary because I mean, you could any child that knows how to use a phone, which is becoming the age is becoming younger and younger for how
Yeah.
what age people learn to use a phone, and you can type and search up whatever you want to. It's pretty scary. Another thing that I had about water was just that a large data center can use up to millions of gallons per day.
Mhm.
I mean, think about the liters that I was talking about. I mean, you just multiply those queries by 100 people, by 1,000 people,
Right.
10,000. I mean, it just is. It's an insane number you can't even wrap your mind around. And I wanted to touch on as well the e-waste that comes from it. I know I talked a
Yes.
lot about this in our episode about e-waste. Please go watch that. I put a whole semester worth of research into e-waste, and it wasn't specifically focused on AI, but with that on the rise, it was definitely a concern, and I definitely touched on that in that episode and in that paper that I wrote. Um, but just with such a high turnover of equipment, because as we advance, I think that's another issue too. We're too big for our britches. We just
Yeah.
we jumped the gun, and now we're trying to get, this far when in reality the resources that we have are probably back here.
Mhm.
And with trying to keep up with that, it's like, okay, we need to make all this we need to make this equipment now. But then it's like by the time it's made and we're using it, oh my gosh, we have 50 million more people using AI
Right.
now. We need larger equipment. We need larger data centers. We need larger fans for cooling. Let's throw out all this other equipment and not do anything with it and then start using the new ones. So that is such a just a quick turnaround of throwing away equipment and then extracting resources for new equipment.
Right.
Because who knows what they're recycling, if they're recycling any of the old equipment at all.
Exactly. And not only e-waste, but imagine the fact that like, because we're talking about how many data centers there are and how much water they use, but like I know there's one in Georgia that is like under wraps right now. But it's a I can put like a picture of it and like any information on the screen or like in the description down below, but like it's a big place, and I have friends, like personal friends, who work at data center, sorry, and they talk about e-waste. They talk about how hot it gets in there. They talk about like, the fact that, because they're usually the friends I have are on maintenance, so they're just working on like the customer service style stuff, but like it's still it it just still applies, and it's just to hear it. Luckily my friends know the implications of
Mhm.
AI, and they're not the biggest
Right.
fans of them, but it's at the same time that is making it the way that people need to make money to, live, and so they're banking on this, and then this gets bigger, and then more people use it, and like you said, then it just cascades.
Yes, it does. It almost creates like a paradox of how you use it as well, because let's say I am, a big oil company or something, and I want
Yeah.
to find out how to efficiently extract fossil fuels and do that for my business model. I could go into ChatGPT and ask, what's the best way to extract fossil fuels over history? Go. And then
Right.
it'll tell me, and I start implementing this. So that could be a potential danger as well, as just how quickly we can speed up some bad processes. But at the same time, on the other hand, it can be good. It can be used for good too, like tracking deforestation, using satellite imagery, and tracking patterns, things like that, which humans can definitely do that too. But that would help if we have more hands and more boots on the ground versus looking at imagery on computers all day when AI could process it just like that. And I wanted to mention when I was researching just about, how people use AI, I did find another podcast. It's called Machine Ethics, and that podcast is all about AI.
Oh, okay.
And their 100th episode was actually about the environment and AI. So that's they talked about the paradox there with how people use it. So I thought that was really cool. So shout out to them for talking about AI and for talking about the environment and AI on such a special episode. Their 100th episode was really cool. But yeah, just using sensor data, satellite imagery, it could improve the recycling process. We could
Mhm.
use, robots and AI for sorting, because that is a whole another issue that we've discussed before. And then also just climate modeling, and it's hard to keep up and have constantly fresh data, and then also be able to analyze that data and turn it back around and get it out to where it's digestible for everybody and we have real results, because I mean that could be years before we get actual information. Like, let's say we have information about the climate right now from 2020, that's 5 years old. The climate has changed since then. Like,
Right.
it's already changed. So I think AI could be potentially used for some good things too.
It can. And I actually kind of was thinking, like, I had a couple of points about its positive impacts, but not necessarily of like how people use it, but how it can be used like socially or
Mhm.
like in social media and things like that. Though it does have a lot more cons than pros in that realm, but a lot of it could be like, if you need it for a quick like background check kind of
Mhm.
thing, or just like I wouldn't say fact checking, because honestly a lot of ChatGPT's facts it gives you are not actually like accurate. And
Mhm.
same with its like if you were to ask it for citations for something, most of the citations it makes up is just made up.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it can be used for positive things socially as well. The one thing though that I find that is the most scary about it is that it can be manipulated to make like false narratives about
Mhm.
things, especially like impersonations of people. There are things called synthetic humans that apparently, now that it's becoming so sophisticated, they've been able to make like human digital footprints by or digital realities by making an entire personality they call a synthetic human. So like,
Mm.
it poses a danger more for kids that are starting to get
Yeah.
into like the digital world and
Mhm.
might not be able to tell the difference. But also I feel like we hear that, when we're trying to call up our doctor and we get
Mhm.
the machine that literally will not let us get to a
Yes.
real person, or just like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of different ways it can get a little bit more scary and real.
definitely.
It also, I saw that AI can rapidly disseminate content across platforms. So then, it's not only are you like asking it for help on yours or like asking it for ideas, but it also can spew it out so many different places at a very fast rate that it can
Mhm.
also make it to where not only are you subjected to finding um like non-real people, but your stuff could be twisted and made to something else
Mhm.
and put out, to other people, and they could see you. And that part gets a little scary.
Mhm.
We'll have more information on the social media part of it, but just like to think of the ways it can be used. um there's also something that I saw from I can't remember exactly what source I found this from. I'll definitely put that up on the screen. But it said AI-based algorithms often dictate what we see, shaping our opinions and perceptions of reality. Politicians use AI to weaponize disinformation and advance their own agendas too. So another ways that it's being used to kind of manipulate and um, change the narrative. It also can be there's a person named Volker Turk that stated that AI is overhauling how info is produced, consumed, and distributed. So it poses threats to the media, but
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, social media information already spreads like wildfire. I mean,
right,
one person posts a picture or like paparazzi with celebrities, and people find out within hours. I mean, I think about all the any recent celebrity death or important figure death in the last 5 years. People have found out hours later, and
right,
then the cause of death even hours later, which is insane.
yeah,
Because I mean, just think about, a family member passing or just anything happens, and I go on Facebook. If anytime I hear anything is going on, I go to Facebook, because I know that I'll see, my mom's friends all the time are like, what's going on and blah blah blah, what's going on with this, and I'm going through the comments because people know it. Like, people just spread information so quickly. But yeah, AI will only accelerate that, so we just have to be so careful. It's such a weird time to be living in, because
yeah,
even before AI was, you know being distributed so widely, we had people catfishing or
mm-hmm.
just, bot accounts, like scam accounts. So now we have that plus AI, and it's even more confusing. I mean,
Yeah,
how are you supposed to know? I mean, if you're just now coming onto the internet or you don't know that much about the internet, then what are you supposed to do? You know, it's
Exactly.
scary. It's really, really scary. But besides the scary part, we can move forward with AI for sure. So some solutions that I had found and thought of kind of to move forward with a more sustainable approach to AI
Mhm.
would be to reduce model size so we can optimize algorithms and lower energy usage, because as I said towards the beginning, the energy usage is absolutely insane. So if we could just reduce their size and maybe slow down usage, slow down algorithms so that way not everything is so instant, or even just slowing down the response time of a query, I feel like
Yeah.
would help some. Shifting workloads depending on the time of day or region where renewable energy is more available. So maybe if, let's say, around noon, everybody's using it on their lunch break to look up something for work. I don't know. Then maybe we could shift what type of energy is being used for them around that time of day in the specific region, so we can use more renewable energy and definitely efficient cooling. Back to water, you know, I don't really know any other ways we could cool computers. I'm not, you know, an expert or anything, but definitely find a more efficient way to use our water. Maybe during those high workloads, we use more. During less busy times, we use less. Um, and then just doing life cycle analyses on every AI model and just the products that it comes with and everything. That's super important as well. All the equipment that is being used for it. How long is this equipment going to last? How long can this data center survive and function with all the cooling, with all the computers, all the parts,
Mm.
everything? So that would
Right.
definitely be really crucial into what we can do to make that last longer or make it more sustainable.
Right, and not only do we need to make it more sustainable, but also like ethically use it. So like if it's, I feel like when you are understanding the ethics behind it, you can use it for positive as well. So like you can enhance the speed and reach of the spread of info that you're putting out. So, if you do have an emergency situation, it could help you like by getting you help quicker, especially if like say you got in a wreck and you can't like physically get to your phone. You have Siri for Apple users, and I forget it starts with a C. It's like
Cortana?
Cortana. Thank you,
Cortana. I
Cortana.
wanted
Thank
to
you.
say Corona, but that is not correct. It's not Corona time. It's Cortana.
Yeah, Cortana for Android. But you can say, "Hey, that said AI," and they can help you by contacting whoever needs it. It could be for positive.
Mhm.
Also, just connecting globally. Like, yes, it is difficult to disseminate like whether things are real or not, but it still is good at connecting, especially keeping you up to date on the news or keeping you up to date on like what's going around globally. It also this is where I get a little more conflicted about my thoughts on it, because I know so many bad things, but I do know that whenever I use AI, it's mainly for creativity boosts,
Mhm.
especially because I get a lot of writer's block a lot of the time, and like my brain just will not think of things. And then when it does, I forget to write it down. So like that's one way that it could definitely like help. And also just promoting diversity, because like so many different people are out there, and it can help you kind of like realize the positives and how those communities should be connecting and how they help each other, and it can definitely help in the creative block.
Yes, definitely. And I know I mentioned some solutions that we could come up with together, just as those were more for like the actual creators of AI, I guess, to keep in mind and just knowing what they can do and maybe even calling corporations or companies that are using AI and urging them to do that. But here's some things that you can do as an individual who is a consumer and user of AI. You can do batch queries. That'll reduce separate processing tasks. So, as I mentioned earlier, going down a rabbit hole, if you already know what you want to ask it and just ask everything. Even if you have 5 questions, I promise you it can handle it. Just ask it all in one query and then it will spit out all the information versus doing the entire task, finishing a task, having to start a new task, because that takes more energy to go through separate things versus all together. You can also, well, you need to be specific and efficient with your prompts. Avoid unnecessary words. You know, it might feel weird to like, I don't, with me at least, anytime I've used it, I want to say like, "Can you please blah blah blah,"
Yeah.
but cut out "Can you please." Just ask like, I don't know, ask whatever question you want to ask. Don't There's no need for formalities. It is a tool, which is weird because it does feel like almost human in some
Yeah.
cases.
Like Zoink Scoop.
It's so strange. But just be quick with it. Get to the point and ask what you need to ask. Um know when to use AI versus a search engine. If you're just looking up, a photo of a cat, or if you're asking, what's the weather today? Something so simple that you can find a link for online, or that we already know there is a definite answer to somewhere, please use a search engine instead of AI, because that uses so much less energy. It emits a lot less carbon dioxide. Just use Google, Yahoo, whatever your preferred search engine is. And then lastly, I found that there's a coalition for sustainable AI. I believe it was created in France. I'm not exactly sure, but there are a few companies that have committed to this sustainable AI initiative in order to be more efficient with their AI. So definitely just, doing your research and looking for companies and corporations that use sustainable AI, or that are looking for more sustainable ways to use AI.
That's a great batch of ideas because if you really think about it, the way people are using it is the main way to combat its energy
Mm-hmm.
usage, and people don't realize that it's that easy. And like, I think sometimes they might be so informal that they do just, yada yada yada, want to keep talking,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, like, that can be used for a positive change by just cutting out, like you said, cutting out the extra words. And also, like, you were going off of what you said, like, not using AI, just doing a Google search. What did you do before AI? Like, you,
Yeah, that's the thing that's so crazy to me, because AI is everywhere and everybody uses it for everything and like simple questions. And I'm like, hello? Like, do we not remember literally a year ago when we would
right,
just do a Google search and we are fine? And it worries me for younger kids too in school, because they're like, y'all went through this without ChatGPT. And it's like, yes, we did. We went through this without Google. They wouldn't let us have our phones. Are you kidding me?
right. Like
So
books? Hello?
yeah, how about go to the library and open up that encyclopedia. You'll find whatever you need. But yeah, it's absolutely insane. But there are ways that you can definitely use AI for good, and we definitely urge you to do that and just be mindful of sustainable ways to use AI.
And with that being said, we hope that even though, life might not feel real, at least through the AI lens, that
Yes.
this is all real info and real time by real people.
Yes.
And we are trying to help you realize that.
Yes.
A lot of real. But we will hopefully see you next time.
Yes. Bye.